What if the biggest threat to your independence after 60 isn't your heart, your memory, or your joints, but something hardly anyone actually checks for? Starting in your 30s and accelerating hard after 60, your body begins losing muscle tissue every single year. It has a name, sarcopenia, and it's the real reason stairs feel steeper, groceries feel heavier, and getting up off the floor is no longer something you do without thinking. Here's what the muscle building industry doesn't want to mention. The strongest defense against sarcopenia was never a plastic tub of powder or a gym membership. Long before either existed, working cultures built strong, capable legs well into their 80s using whole, dense foods that were already sitting in ordinary kitchens. So today, we're going back. Here are 15 traditional protein foods chosen specifically to support real leg strength after 60. Stick around, because number 7 is a seed most people don't incorporate into their diet, and it plays a surprising role in how fast your legs catch you when you stumble. And stay all the way through number 1, a fermented Japanese staple eaten daily for over 1,000 years, one that carries a nutrient almost no other food on Earth delivers in the same amount. Number 15 is lentils, one of the oldest cultivated foods in human history, found in archaeological digs dating back over 8,000 years. From ancient Near Eastern labourers to Roman soldiers, lentils fueled heavy daily physical work for one simple reason. A single pot could feed a household for days. A cooked cup delivers roughly 18 grams of plant protein alongside potassium, the mineral that helps carry the nerve signal from your brain down to your leg muscles in the first place, the messenger that has to arrive before a muscle can even contract or relax. And here's an old world habit worth borrowing. Don't drain away all the cooking liquid. Simmer lentils in broth with onion, garlic, and a few chopped tomatoes instead of plain water. The vitamin C in the tomatoes helps your body access the plant iron in the lentils more easily. Number 14 is traditional strained yogurt, the thick, tangy style that Eastern Mediterranean shepherding cultures made by straining fresh yogurt through cloth to remove the excess whey. That straining process concentrates the protein into a dense curd, delivering roughly 17 to 20 grams per cup, rich in leucine, the specific amino acid traditionally associated with triggering muscle repair. If you want the full story on why live, cultured dairy behaves so differently than what sits in most grocery aisles, we covered that in our fermented drinks video, which is worth a watch after this one. Look for a label that says live, active cultures. Strain it further at home if you want it even thicker, and top it with walnuts for magnesium, which plays a role in how your muscles contract and relax, or a drizzle of raw honey if you want it a little sweeter. Speaking of things that came from straining milk, the next one is what farm households did with what strained yogurt leaves behind. Number 13 is cottage cheese, a simple curdled milk food farm households across Europe made specifically because nothing from the milking ever went to waste. The curd is rich in casein, a slower digesting dairy protein that releases amino acids gradually through the night, the exact hours your muscle tissue does most of its actual repair work. It's part of why some people notice they feel less stiff getting out of bed when they've had a slow digesting protein before sleep, instead of nothing at all. A cup of cottage cheese with sliced peaches or a spoon of ground flax, eaten about 30 minutes before bed, makes a simple habit worth building. Now, if cottage cheese is what farm households ate at night, the next one is what coastal households built an entire pantry around. Number 12 is sardines, a staple of Mediterranean and Scandinavian coastal diets for centuries, traditionally eaten whole, including the soft, edible bones that canning and slow cooking leave behind. Those bones deliver real calcium alongside a complete protein, and calcium plays a direct role on the other side of muscle function. It's what actually triggers a muscle fibre to contract in the first place, the same signal that has to fire correctly every time you catch your balance or push up out of a chair. Mash a tin with mustard and lemon over whole grain crackers. If cooking is the reason a protein habit never sticks, this is the one that removes that excuse entirely. And if a tin of fish feels almost too simple, the next entry is proof that the oldest protein sources on this list needed nothing more than water and time. Number 11 is chickpeas, a Middle Eastern and Mediterranean staple for roughly 7,000 years. Ground into hummus, simmered into stews, and roasted as portable travel food for labourers. A cup delivers around 15 grams of plant protein, alongside resistant starch, a type of fibre that passes into the lower gut and feeds beneficial bacteria there. A well-supported gut has been traditionally associated with more efficient nutrient absorption overall. That's really important, because that plays a role in how well your body uses the protein from everything else you eat, not just chickpeas. Rinse a can well, toss with olive oil, sea salt, and smoked paprika, then roast at 400 degrees until crisp. Next up is a food nearly every farming culture on Earth has depended on for centuries. Number 10 is pasture-raised eggs, one of the most reliably portable, complete proteins any farming culture has had access to. A single egg delivers around 6 grams of complete protein, and nutrition science has long used egg protein as one of the reference points for measuring how completely a food's amino acids match what the human body needs. The yolk specifically contributes vitamin D, and unlike the other nutrients on this list, vitamin D acts directly inside muscle cells themselves. We went deep on why skipping the yolk means skipping most of an egg's real value in our collagen video. Worth a watch if you haven't seen it. Boil a half dozen over the weekend, and you've got a 5-minute, little to no effort protein source ready for you all week. Quick pause before we hit the back half of this list. If today got you thinking about what else modern life quietly swapped out, our free Natural Living Starter Kit covers 50 traditional replacements across your kitchen, medicine cabinet, bathroom, and home. Things like real butter instead of margarine, bone broth instead of bouillon cubes, and true fermented yogurt instead of the store-bought kind. More on that at the end, but I wanted you to know it's there. Let's keep going. The next 5 entries are where this list gets genuinely interesting. Number 9 is tempeh, a fermented soybean cake that's been a daily protein staple across Indonesia for centuries, made by binding cooked soybeans with a beneficial mold culture into a firm, nutty cake. Raw legumes naturally contain phytic acid, a compound that can bind to minerals and make protein harder to absorb. Fermentation significantly reduces phytic acid, essentially pre-softening the protein before it ever reaches your plate, which is likely part of why tempeh delivers all 9 essential amino acids in a form traditional Indonesian households relied on to recover from hard physical labour. Slice and pan-sear it in a little oil until golden, then toss it into a stir-fry or grain bowl. If tempeh feels unfamiliar, the next one might be even more so, and it comes from the exact opposite end of the same fermentation tradition. Number 8 is buckwheat groats, a staple grain across Eastern Europe and Russia for centuries, toasted and simmered into a hearty porridge that fueled cold climate labourers through brutal winters. Despite the name, buckwheat isn't wheat at all. It's naturally gluten-free, and it delivers a meaningful plant protein alongside all 9 essential amino acids, a rare trait among grains. It also contains rutin, a plant compound traditionally studied for its role in supporting healthy blood vessels, which matters for how efficiently nutrients actually reach your leg muscles. Toast the groats dry in a pan for a few minutes before simmering in broth. That step is what brings out the nutty flavour old world kitchens loved. The next entry skips the pan entirely, and it's probably already sitting in your pantry. Number 7 is pumpkin seeds, and this is the one I teased at the top. A single ounce delivers a meaningful dose of complete protein. But the important part of this story is the mineral profile, which consists of roughly 1/3 of your daily magnesium and a solid dose of zinc. Magnesium plays a role in how quickly your muscle fibers relax and reset after they contract, and that reset speed shows up more often in daily life than you'd think. It's what lets you pop up off the couch to grab the phone, swing your legs out of the car without thinking twice about it, or keep pace when a grandkid suddenly decides to sprint across the yard. If you have a history of digestive sensitivity to seeds, it's worth checking with your doctor before adding a large daily amount. But for most people, a small handful is an easy habit to build. Sprinkle a handful over salads, oatmeal, or even roasted vegetables. Quick question for you before we move on. Where in your own day do you actually feel your legs working the hardest? Drop your answer in the comments. Number 6 is traditionally aged cheese, the kind aged for months rather than days, built by cultures across Italy and France, specifically because aging concentrates both flavour and protein into a small, dense amount of food. A small serving delivers a genuinely complete protein along with calcium, and the aging process traditionally breaks proteins down into a form that some research suggests may be easier to digest than fresh cheese. A 1-ounce piece of a hard aged cheese alongside a handful of nuts makes a satisfying, protein-dense snack. If aged cheese proves patience can concentrate protein, this next one proves an entire empire could be built to march on it. Number 5 is quinoa, cultivated high in the Andes for over 5,000 years and known to Incan culture as Chisaya Mama, the mother of all grains, carried as portable food across long mountain marches. It's one of the very few grains that qualifies as a complete protein, delivering around 8 grams per cooked cup alongside iron. Iron does something none of the last 9 entries have covered. It's what lets your blood actually carry oxygen to working muscles. Without enough of it, muscles simply tire faster during ordinary daily activity. Not just exercise, but things like folding laundry, walking the dog, standing at the stove longer than you'd like. And if quinoa still sounds like something from a specialty aisle, it isn't. It sits right next to the rice at any regular grocery store, and it works anywhere rice does, under a stir-fry, cooled into next day lunch, or stirred straight into a soup or chili you're already making. A quick pro tip: be sure to rinse it well before cooking to remove its natural bitter coating. Then simmer it the same way you would rice. Now we move from land to sea, and to a tradition that Nordic and Pacific coastal cultures built their entire diets around. Number 4 is wild salmon, traditionally smoked or dried to preserve it through long winters when fresh food was scarce. It delivers a complete protein alongside EPA and DHA, the specific omega-3s some research has linked to more efficient muscle protein synthesis in older adults, essentially helping your body use the protein you eat more effectively, not just delivering protein on its own. Canned wild-caught salmon delivers essentially the same nutrition as fresh at a fraction of the price, which matters when a lot of household budgets are stretched thin. Flake it over greens or mix it with avocado for a quick lunch. Number 3 is bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. Chicken breast does carry a bit more protein ounce for ounce. That part of the common belief is true. But thigh meat carries roughly twice the iron and zinc that breast does. And zinc specifically is required for the enzymatic process your body uses to actually convert the protein you eat into new muscle tissue. So the leaner cut wins on quantity, but the cut most people try to avoid wins on turning that protein into something your body can use. A single thigh still delivers a solid 19 to 21 grams of protein on its own, more than enough to anchor a meal. And it comes with meaningfully better flavour and a far smaller grocery bill than the same weight in breast meat. Roast a full tray on Sunday with just salt, pepper and olive oil, and you've got a protein source ready for the rest of the week without needing a single special ingredient. If thighs are a cut people skip, the next one is skipped even more often, and it might be the most nutrient-dense food on this entire list. Number 2 is beef liver, one of the most nutrient-dense traditional foods on earth, and a food nearly every ancestral culture specifically reserved for the members of the household doing the hardest physical labour. Liver delivers an exceptionally dense, complete protein, alongside iron, zinc, and B12, nutrients that become harder to absorb from food as we age. One thing worth knowing, though, is that liver is also extremely high in vitamin A, so this is a food best enjoyed in modest portions, a few times a month rather than daily. This is especially important for anyone already taking a vitamin A or multivitamin supplement. Slice it thin, soak it in milk for 20 minutes to mellow the flavour. Then quickly pan-sear with onions. A classic preparation nearly every grandmother's generation would recognise immediately. And that brings us to the one traditional food that closes this list better than anything else could. Number 1 is natto, fermented whole soybeans eaten every morning in Japan for ages. I'll be upfront, natto really does have a strong smell. It also has a sticky texture that catches most newcomers off guard, but it delivers around 15 grams of complete protein per serving, and it also happens to be the richest known dietary source of vitamin K2. Some researchers studied K2's role in helping direct calcium toward bone and away from soft tissue as the body ages. If you take a blood-thinning medication like warfarin, vitamin K2 can interact with it, so please talk to your doctor before making natto a regular habit. Start with a small spoonful over warm rice with a little soy sauce, and give your palate a real chance before deciding it's not for you. So there we have it. 15 traditional protein foods that rebuild strength in your legs after 60. None of these needed a lab, a subscription, or a tub of powder. Just real food, prepared the way it always was. If even one of them earns a permanent spot in your kitchen, this list did exactly what it was supposed to. Speaking of getting back to real food, don't forget about our free Natural Living Starter Kit. It's the easiest place to start. 50 traditional swaps for the modern conveniences that quietly replaced what worked for generations before us. The link is in the description. And by the way, the 2 videos we mentioned earlier are about to pop up on your screen. If you want to keep going down this path, that's exactly where to go next. Last thing, and this one is important. If you're on blood thinners or managing kidney issues, be sure to run any changes to your protein intake by your doctor first. As always, take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one, here at the Natural Living Library.